for the rest of the attendees to arrive. If you could just do a quick audio check, let me know that you can hear me, then we will get started in just a few minutes. Thanks, everyone. Have a pretty packed webinar today, over 100 attendees and counting still. So we're just a couple more people are filtering in, but we will go ahead and get started here with a couple housekeeping items. So let me display my screen and we will get started. So just to start off, a little bit about us. We're founded in 2004. We specialize in search engine optimization, pay-per-click management, and social media marketing as our core competencies. We also offer additional services such as conversion rate optimization and online reputation management. We have over 100 clients. Some additional kind of components that we have to offer outside of our core competencies are custom KPI-based scorecards. As you might see in the chat box, our motto is we help clients convert online visibility into measurable results. So going beyond, excuse me, taking SEO beyond rankings and beyond traffic into what's actually impacting the bottom line for your business. And we like to do that and provide complete visibility in the form of some scorecards based on the KPIs that are important for your business. We also have a proprietary attribution tool that we've recently launched, and what this does is provide insight into a multi-touch attribution. In other words, when someone first finds your website, they're not always contacting you, and likely there are multiple touch points before they actually make a purchase or become a lead. And so this tool that we offer provides greater insight into those capabilities, in addition to those three core services offered at the top. Additionally, at the bottom of the slide, a couple of the clients that we work with and have helped bring success to. For a few practical matters before we dive into the main webinar content here. We often get asked, are the slides available? Yes, if you would like a copy of the slides, just go ahead and email SEO@webmarketing123.com, and we can send you the slides, and we're also providing a recording of the webinar if you would like the audio track as well. If you'd like to connect with us on social media, you can reach out on Twitter or Facebook. Our Twitter handle is @webmarketing123, and at Facebook, you can find us at facebook.com/webmarketing123. Generally providing updates and some general search marketing news. So if you are interested in following us on one of those channels, feel free. Also, if anyone is interested in learning more about the services that we offer and how we might be able to help your business, we do offer a customized SEO assessment. This would be a 30-minute walkthrough of your website, your top couple keywords, and your competitors for the and where you're ranking on those keywords. If you do want to sign up for one of these custom SEO assessments, you may qualify for a $50 Amazon.com gift card. To do that, just follow the link there at the bottom. Just go to bit.ly/WM123SEO. Fill out the form on that page, and you can qualify for the gift card. So diving into today's agenda, there are kind of three main topics that we want to cover in looking at the myth versus the truth in SEO. As many of you imagine, or as I imagine many of you know, there are a lot of conflicting opinions about SEO. It's a very new industry and a very dynamic industry. Google makes several major algorithm changes every year, and due to that, agencies like us are constantly changing our approach and constantly, changing what we see as an ever-changing landscape for SEO specifically, but also with the influence of other inbound marketing techniques such as PPC and social media marketing. So there are a couple of ways that we'd like to recommend knowing what to believe. One, knowing your trusted resources. So in order to do that and stay up to date with the latest SEO news, a couple of our favorites are listed right here: Search Engine Land, SEO Moz, and Search Engine Roundtable. All provide great and accurate sources of SEO updates, also SEO case studies, and often provide data behind the recommendations they're making and the news that they're offering. Another important one is, as I mentioned, Google's algorithm changes. SEO Moz provides a great page here on Google's algorithm change history. So if you go to that URL down there at the bottom, you can view by year all the different changes that Google has made. As it says right there, Google changes its search algorithm up to 500 to 600 times per year. Usually there are a few, 2 to 3 major changes every year. But due to this, you can imagine how dynamic our industry is and how often things are changing. So staying up to date with the latest industry changes and any algorithm change is going to help keep you on top of the search results for your desired keywords. So in addition to those, another important thing to keep in mind is that your competitors are not standing still. Most of your competitors, if they are not currently engaged in SEO, I guarantee that it's on their radar and they're aware of the possibilities. And not every business in every industry is going to have SEO be their main traffic driver, but the bottom line is if people are looking for you, and most people are looking on the web, there are over 4 billion searches done per day on Google. And you can imagine that there are people that are searching for the types of products and services that you offer. And your competitors are aware of that as well. So know that there are plans by your competitors to be doing probably similar strategies that you are. So it's basically never too early to get started on an SEO program, particularly because it's a very long-term approach. So before we jump into our agenda here, I would like to launch a quick poll to gauge the level of knowledge for SEO within today's audience. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll, and if everyone would just take a couple moments here to assign yourself as what you consider to be either beginner, intermediate, or advanced in SEO practices. We'll give that poll about another 30 seconds. Also, while we are waiting, If anyone does have any questions during the webinar, feel free to enter them in the chat box. We do have a pretty full house today, but we do have SEO analysts standing by to answer your questions. And additionally, if there is possibility for me to answer any questions live on the webinar, I'll attempt to get to some of those as well. All right, we're going to be closing the poll now, and I'll go ahead and share the results just so everyone else can see what I'm seeing. It looks like the majority of our audience today is intermediate with the weighted heavier towards beginner, and then some advanced folks in here as well. So I'll keep that in mind as I discuss these SEO techniques. As I mentioned, feel free to enter any questions, and if we're able to answer them during the webinar, then we definitely will. So jumping into our full agenda for the webinar, these are the 5 topics that we're going to cover today. One is inbound links. There is a lot of controversy over link building and what kinds of links, how many links, what kinds of quality links are going to better affect our rankings. So we will dive into that and point out the things that you should be paying attention to. In addition, we'll also be looking at website content, keyword usage within that website content. We will look at what makes a good keyword and how many keywords do we select. Also, we'll be looking at what kinds of results we might be able to expect. And the last topic there is long-term sustainment. After our site is optimized, what does that process look like? How much more effort do we need to put into it? What do we need to do on a monthly basis? So diving into this first topic here is inbound links. So in each of these topics, we'll start with a myth. One myth for inbound links is that all links are equal. Another way of putting this would be as many links as possible helps, and that's not necessarily the case. In actuality, all links are not the same in value, and that's very important to consider as this is not just a numbers game. The way that Google's algorithm works is by crawling web pages. And by crawling web pages, it's essentially a computer program that is going through the websites, clicking on a link, and finding another website, which is basically where the name, the World Wide Web comes from. Is all of these links are linking to one another, and this is how people find other websites. Obviously, you can find websites through search engines, but the way that the search engines are going to know that these websites exist in the first place and also give them credit is by linking. The reason that links are so important for SEO is because they, in a sense, are votes of trust or a form of third-party credibility that Google can go to and recognize. We could define the keywords that we want to rank for, and we can use them in all of the most important places on our website. But if Google has no form of third-party validation, then we're not going to necessarily rank in the top positions. A good way to think of it is like an academic reference or an academic paper. If we write a paper that has a lot of great information about it and publish it, a lot of people are going to get a lot of use out of that. And we're going to establish our expertise in that way based on the content purely. However, if additional researchers start to reference our paper and use us as a reference and take stats and figures from what we're writing about, and they reference us, all of a sudden we're going to get a lot more credibility. We're going to be found in a lot more places because other people are referring to us and establishing us as the authority. So the same process works on the web, and it also works in the sense that some websites are going to give you more credit than others. So if you are a wedding location website and you're looking for people that are looking for how to plan their wedding and where to plan that, if you have if you have links from other websites that are within the wedding industry. Maybe they may not be the exact same type of website as yours. They may be websites that are offering resources for all the different services that you can get for a wedding. Or maybe they're a different type of wedding service, not just the location, but they could be linking to you and from that website, which is still talking about weddings. If you think about it, that's going to be a lot more relevant of a link from another website talking about weddings versus if a blog that's talking about cars links to your weddings. So the idea of quality of links is that we want to bring links from the most quality websites and most relevant websites. So if Google follows a link from another related website, it already has given us amount of association for that particular keyword that is used to link the website if they follow a link that says wedding locations. And then once they get to that site and find those same keywords used within the site, then we will be able to better associate or better create an association for Google with those keywords. So to dive into a couple specifics here, one of the best ways to develop natural, relevant inbound links over time, one, don't use reciprocal links. Reciprocal links are when someone has a website and they want to link to yours and they say, well, we get credit for having links from other websites. So if I link to you, how about you link to me and we'll both get credit? This did work for a short period of time, and then Google outsmarted everyone. And they said, well, anyone can do that. Anyone can ask for a link and get a link in return. However, it takes something special for someone to link to you and get absolutely nothing in return. That, to Google, says that you're a trusted resource for that particular topic. Additionally, we want to create high-quality things from different reputable sources. So one of those main sources is directories, web directories, business directories, anything that's a listing of potential websites or businesses that might be relevant for a certain topic. Now, these can be very impactful as there are SEO-friendly directories, websites that have, directories that have other websites linking to them and have a good page rank with Google. Page rank is basically not where you rank on the search results, but it's a calculation that Google's made, named after Larry Page of Google, that is assigning a value to how much link juice or link value you have for that page. So there might be a lot of directories that have really high value, and linking to those, or linking to your website from those directories is going to provide you benefit. Even more benefit is going to be if they have a section of their directory, say if you're in the wedding industry, that they have a section that says weddings, or if you're in the car industry or car accessories or iPod accessories, that you have a page that specifically, the page that you're being linked from is talking about the same types of things that you're talking about on your website. Google is going to see that as relevant. However, something to keep in mind is, say we go after only directories and put our links in only directories. Google is going to give us credit for this, and it's going to rank us higher. However, the disadvantage there is that Google's only seeing it from one type of website. Now, say that Google finds links to your website on a bunch of directories. It also finds links to your website built from some different blogs. It also finds links to your website from sites that syndicate and post articles. Within those articles, you might be able to use your keywords and provide a lot of relevant information. And then say Google's also finding links from any press releases you put out. That's what we call a diverse link portfolio. And so like a financial portfolio, we want our link portfolio to be diverse. We want to show Google that we are relevant from a variety of types of websites and that they have linked to us, meaning they've established us as an authority. As far as numbers of links go, we recommend generally building about 30 to 50 inbound links a month. There is such a thing as building too many links or over-optimizing. In fact, there was a Google algorithm change last month that said they're going to start penalizing over-optimized websites. And what that means is it still remains to be seen, although my hunch is that linking is definitely a part of this. If you're building links from websites that are not high in quality of content, or that have very low page rank or link juice themselves, or are maybe irrelevant to your website. If you're the car blog linking to someone else, they might, and your website has nothing to do with cars, that's where they might penalize you. There's a pretty famous case study and news story last year where JCPenney.com was penalized for the links that they had built. And so they had hired an agency who went out and built links all over the place, built thousands of links for them, and shot up in the rankings. They're ranking in the top positions for really very, very generic terms that are hard to rank for, like dresses. So what Google found, and actually this was exposed by the New York Times in kind of analyzing their link profile, was that they had a bunch of car blogs. That was one of my favorites that talked about, I think it was talking about a Ferrari, and it was just a short little page, had almost no content on it, not high quality by any means, but more specifically, it had nothing to do with JCPenney. And in the bottom, very bottom corner of that web page, it had a link that said dresses. Now, from an SEO perspective, that's a good link in the sense that it says dresses. If you create a link that says JCPenney, Google's going to give you credit for the term JCPenney, but you're already going to rank for that. But if you build a link that says dresses, then that's going to mean that someone in linking to your site finds you relevant for that term. A way to think about it is a natural link. So if I'm talking about dresses within a paragraph on my blog, when I link, I might want to say here's a link to a good source for dresses, and I might link to the dress section of JCPenney. The problem with what they were doing, however, was that they were coming from a completely irrelevant website, and this was across the board. It wasn't one example. It was tons of them. In addition, they had so many of these links that it was clear that they weren't built at a natural rate. Link building is possible to do internally and not just natural links. What we mean by natural links is anyone out there who writes a link and adds a link to their website without you asking for it, just based on the fact that they think that the quality and content of your website makes sense for them to link to. So it's not that we can't go out and try to build links and expand our web presence. It makes a lot of sense from a business perspective to be found for in more ways from more referring sites. However, these links need to be relevant, and they need to be built at a natural pace. If we build 100 or 200 links in a month, then Google might catch that, and we could penalize us and actually go down in the rankings. Seeing one question from the audience, where's the 30 to 50 links per month come from? It's a great question. So this has been based on a combination of things, but I would say primarily is our own experience. Working with hundreds of clients, we're able to see what works and what doesn't. We're always cautious about the pace at which we build links. It is going to depend on the type of site you have. So if you have a site with 3 pages and you build 50 links in a month to only those 3 pages, that might seem a little suspicious. But if you're a page that has 5,000 web pages on it and you're building 50 links to varied pages across the site, that's going to make a lot of sense. So again, it is going to vary per site. It's going to vary on which types of websites you use. But from our experience and other trusted resources, as I mentioned in the beginning, 30 to 50 is a pretty safe number that it's unlikely Google will penalize you, assuming that you're using good practices. But it's enough to really move the needle and start to see some increases in your rankings. All right, just to jump into the math behind the truth for inbound linking, there's a couple tools you can use. So Google Webmaster Tools is very important. It's similar to Google Analytics, which tells you information about the people visiting your website. What Google Webmaster Tools tells you is how the Google search crawler is crawling your website. So there are a lot of things that are going on. Over 200 factors in Google's algorithm within Google Webmaster Tools is where you can get some of this information. So talking specifically about links, we can look in Google Webmaster Tools and see what Google recognizes as the links to our site. What we can also do is go and take a look at those sites and see how they're linking to us. So as I mentioned, the JCPenney example, they're going to get more credit for the term dresses than they are for JCPenney. The reason is, I guarantee you, they already rank for JCPenney, and they always will rank in the #1 position. If that's their brand name, that's what their domain name. Most links are being built with that anchor text. However, if they start having links that say dresses in them, Google starts to create that association and give them and their domain some credit and authority for that particular term. So if we wanted to check this out and kind of prove this theory, what we would do is I would go into Google Webmaster Tools and find out who's linking to me. And then I would go and find that site and find what does that link look like. If it is our brand name, I know we're definitely getting credit. What I want to look for is the terms that are non-branded. And then I would go to that website and find that they're using, with the wedding locations example, if it says wedding locations and it's a link to our website, the next thing I would do is check where am I ranking for that keyword. And we can check this month over month, week over week, seeing how many links are created specifically with this type of anchor text that's non-branded and gives Google more information about our website, and see how those keywords are increasing. If you do this over time, I guarantee that you're going to find that the keywords we have non-branded textual links for that give Google that information, we're going to see higher keyword rankings on those versus the things that we just mentioned on our website but have no links related to them. The idea behind reciprocal links, again, they used to be effective in the past, but Google's caught on. Essentially, they provide no value. Typically, they're not going to hurt you, but they can. And the reason that is because if you think about the quality of sites linking to you and how the PageRank works. So with Google PageRank, if you have 10 sites linking to you and you don't link to anybody and they're quality relevant sites, your PageRank is going to increase. However, if you have one site linking to you and you link to 10 other sites, then essentially you're leaking what we call link juice. And so if you're leaking link juice to a site that actually has a worse page rank than you, you're leaking more value to them than they're giving to you with the reciprocal link. So that's an instance where it might actually hurt you. And then here's a couple best practices at the bottom of the slide that might help you all. I mentioned a few of these, but one, we want links within rich content. So that's why links from blogs and article syndication are great, because Google is reading this page, this third-party page, and seeing all of these relevant keywords that are relevant to your website. And then in the middle of that, they find that non-branded keyword and go to your site. They've created more value out of that particular link than just a random link with no context behind it. The anchor text is the actual link text that's underlined for that link. And so when Google clicks that link and follows it, it's actually going to be creating that association. And we want those anchor texts to be links from our keywords. And then, as that bottom bullet mentions, we want links from outside sources that serve as references in the eyes of Google to your site. All right, our next topic here is website content. So the myth is your site should be packed with keywords. Again, this is an older SEO practice that is definitely not effective anymore, in that Google has outsmarted the people that are trying to do this. It stands to reason that if Google goes to your site and you use a keyword a lot, it would find you relevant for that particular keyword. However, again, that's something that anyone can do. So Google recognizes that, and there is such a thing as over-optimization, or we call it keyword stuffing as well. So the disadvantage of this is that Google could come to our site and see that we've just used a keyword 50 times on our page, or even 10 or 15 times, which might be too much, and there's not a lot of other content on the page. The truth of the matter is your content should be developed naturally, with a focus on only a few keywords per page. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't use the keywords you're targeting within that page. It just means that the writing should be natural. So Google is not going to have an issue if you mention your keyword 5, 6, 7 times even on a page, if it flows naturally within that text. the Google search spider and algorithm is getting smarter at recognizing what is quality and what we would call keyword stuffing. So if you have a lot of content on your page, then it's going to make a lot of sense to use those keywords within that content. Another important strategy to use is using variations of those keywords. And what that'll do is create a well-developed theme for your keywords within your site content. An example that I really like is Salesforce.com. And here's a screenshot on the right here. You'll see that their keyword is CRM. Now this might look like keyword stuffing, but if you look closely, they're using this keyword CRM, and I know this is might be a little hard to read here. If you go to the homepage of Salesforce.com, you can actually find this section down at the bottom. So in this instance, right here, they're using it in parentheses for customer relationship management, explaining the acronym. Here they're explaining what CRM is. Here they're explaining the application of CRM. Here they're using Salesforce CRM software. If they were to just say Salesforce software, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. So it makes a lot of sense for them to add that additional word. Here they have CRM solution. CRM solutions again. And now they're explaining for sales and marketing. So in each of these instances, they are repeating this keyword, but they're using it in context, and they're using it in helpful ways that would be helpful for the user. So really the idea is not to limit your keywords to just that specific usage, but use it in any variations that might be helpful for your user. It's very important to be aware of what these keywords are and just know that that's the general theme we should talk about on the site. Salesforce is going to rank higher for CRM in general because they're using CRM software, CRM solutions, and things like that. All right. So one other, a different way to look at stuffing keywords is the idea of stemming, and that's where we're using those variations like CRM software, CRM solutions. The theme is what Google is going to pick up on, and they're going to see that CRM is relevant. We can try to rank for CRM, which is a really competitive keyword, but if we start to rank for CRM solutions and CRM software, Google is going to recognize that theme on our website, and over time, give us more credit for that core term as well. Likewise, we're also going to get credit if we start to rank for CRM for all the long tail variations, CRM software, CRM solutions, or even keywords that have very little search volume that we may not even be intentionally optimizing for, but by ranking for one term that has to do with that theme, we're going to see that theme expanded and reflected in our rankings. And the other thing to think about with Salesforce is this drop-down here is actually, or it's exactly that, it's a drop-down. So you don't see all of this text within the home page. Actually, I'll just go ahead and go to the website and show everyone what I'm talking about. So this is the Salesforce.com homepage. You see their call to actions, their designs and images. If we scroll all the way down, though, we see this text, and it's really purely for SEO. However, it's written in a way that could help people that don't know what CRM is, that need more information about it. And they're also creating these links into some of these specific inner pages, which also gives Google some indication that's what those pages are about. It's not necessarily giving us the credit an inbound link is, but linking to the CRM page with the anchor text CRM is going to have a better effect. The advantage of this really, though, too, is that they're providing a lot of textual content with the page without ruining the integrity of the aesthetics and the design of the site. And so search engines are still able to read this. It doesn't look like we're trying to hide this from people. It just makes sense for the design to not show all of this text, but to make it available. So some math and tools to kind of think about how to structure this website content. One thing is just your website pages and your source code. So if you think about the pages on your website, you need to write about your keywords in order to rank for them. And in doing that, we can look at about how many words that we need on the web page and how many instances of those keywords. Generally, we would recommend somewhere between 300 to 500 pages of, or excuse me, 300 to 500 words of content per page, and within those, probably 2 to 3 instances on average of your main keywords. However, that doesn't mean that you're not using variations of those keywords or similar. Actually, I saw a question in the audience about linking. See, it was how much, for the anchor text of links, how much should the exact term, sorry, let me rephrase that. How much should the term be exact versus related term? The examples given were photo sharing versus share photo. So because Google has the thematic algorithm, as I mentioned, we're going to get credit for both of those. However, if I want to rank for photo sharing, if it has a lot more searches a month than share photo, I'm going to primarily want to target photo sharing. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't use other variations. Even though Google picks up on them, it makes a lot of sense if we're using those variations as opposed to using one specific instance or phrasing of that term. So this relates to keyword strategy on the page and off the page. So linking to our site from those other pages, we're going to want to use different terms, and then within our page, use different variations of that term. One, so it seems natural, so we can pick up for different keywords, and also so that Google sees that. Next bullet here is to write natural copy, free of errors. Think about the idea of providing quality content to your users. Even if for some reason you wrote really bad SEO content and Google picked it up, people are going to come to your website and have to read that content. So it doesn't make any sense to be sloppy about that and to not make any sense with that content. We want it to be free of errors and make sense, provide relevancy and useful information. And overall, that's what Google's going to recognize. As the algorithm gets smarter and smarter, it's recognizing what quality content means. The Panda update was the major algorithm change last year. Originally affected up to 12% of websites on the internet, which is a staggering number. Many websites lost a huge amount of ranking due to the low quality content that they had. The specifics, of course, the Panda algorithm, of course, a little bit of a secret, but what Google is consistently saying is write quality content that is engaging for users. And in whatever ways they're able to measure that, they're going to give us credit for that versus just using a keyword. Just a couple other best practices. I did mention about 300 to 500 words per page is keyword rich, maybe 2 to 3 instances of each keyword on the page. Generally, we're targeting anywhere from 2 to 4 keywords on a web page. We don't want to target more than that because we're confusing Google. We want to be able to provide a very targeted message. In the Salesforce example, they had their cloud computing page, they had a CRM page, and they had another page. I forget what it was, but those are very distinctly different keywords. We want to have different pages for each of those keywords, maybe having a couple related keywords on each topic on each page, but very specifically target different keywords on different pages. And this will allow for that keyword stemming. Another best practice here is Google don't spend a lot of time on the meta tags anymore. When we optimize websites, we will still optimize these, but our expectations are a bit lower in terms of the value. However, we still want to provide as much information to Google as possible. But really, the focus is on quality content and providing useful information for users. All right, going back to our agenda here, the next topic is keywords. So how do you choose the right keywords, and are broad keywords good? The myth here is that you should focus on a few general keywords to rank #1 on. This example being shoes. Ranking for a keyword like shoes, if I bring up the search results for this particular page, I see that Google finds this many results relevant for that term, which is almost 2 billion. So there are over 2 billion web pages on the internet that in some way are relevant to shoes. So you can imagine if you're a shoe website, you've got a lot of competition. shoes.com or dsw.com, if you look at where these are ranking, they're actually number 1 in line of 2 billion, number 2 in line out of 2 billion. If we go to the 10th page, 10 listings per page, this website here, 22 Tango Shoes, they're actually number 100 in line of 2 billion. So even though no one is going to the 10th page to probably find these people, people are definitely not going to 2 billion. So the reason that I bring this up is because if we're trying to rank for a really general keyword like shoes, that's the kind of competition that we're going to experience. Let's say I modify this search and I say Nike red running shoes. Still a lot of results, 32 million. However, 32 million compared to 2 billion is significantly different. And now the shoes that are, the websites that have more specific shoes to red Nike running shoes are going to show up in the search results. And notice these are very different results from the others, the more targeted search. So leading to our truth slide, broad keywords are very competitive and may actually get you less qualified traffic. Many people shopping for shoes may not know what they want, are probably not ready to buy shoes right there that day. Even if they find your website, they might bookmark it. They may come back and buy from you, but the important thing to note here is that that generic category is going to fall up here. It's going to be high cost and high competition. Whereas if we do red Nike men's running shoes, we decrease our risk and we have the higher probability of conversion. Someone searching for that particular keyword is much more ready to buy. The search volume is going to be lower. There will be a little less opportunity for that keyword, but there are many keywords like this that you can target. You can have a different page for each of these different types of shoes that you may be relevant for versus just shoes on its own. To go into a little more depth, the percentage of long-tail search traffic is increasing. One reason for this is searchers are becoming smarter. As I showed you, most people aren't going past page 10 on the search results. Or past page 1, rarely getting to page 10, if ever. What that means is that people, if they are looking for red Nike men's running shoes, they're not going to click shoes and go to a website that has shoes, find their Nike section, check this red color box, and check running shoes. That's a really long process when it can simply be done with one search. Google Instant was released last year, where we saw search results change instantly. So let me enter shoes, and so sorry. Let me start with a blank page. So if I go to shoes, I'm going to get those results. I'm going to see, oh well, that's just generic shoes. I want let's say I want red Nike shoes. So it's going to show me that. I go, no, that's not quite what I was looking for. I want running shoes. It's going to deliver these results instantly. And so as you can see, it's that easy to modify your search, and it takes much less time than going beyond page 1. And that's why long-tail keywords are becoming more important, because it's much easier for someone to find. And with the ease of search, someone can more clearly find exactly what they're looking for and go convert in that specific moment. So even though it would be great to work for shoes, rank for shoes, there are tons of searches done on that particular word each month, and you would get tons of traffic if you ranked for shoes. But would that actually lead you to conversions? Probably not. What would actually happen is if you rank for shoes, you probably rank for a lot of these long-tail variations. What we would do in helping you devise a strategy from an agency perspective is find those long-tail variations that you rank on page 2 and 3 for, target those, get you into the top ranking positions for those highly converting keywords, and then see where we go from there. And in turn, as I mentioned, that is going to, over time, help our ranking for shoes. As I mentioned, not all traffic is good traffic. Traffic from the quality of traffic from the keyword shoes is going to be pretty broad. We're going to get a lot of looky-loos, people just getting information. Great for brand awareness, great for getting traffic to the site, but is that going to convert and drive revenue? Maybe, maybe not. However, we're generally going to want a diverse keyword basket. Some things that we can use to better understand these things are Google Analytics, Google External Keyword Tool. So if you search for Google External Keyword Tool, you can find here. In this instance, we have dog's health, older dog health symptoms. From these, we can see actually how many searches are done per month within these terms. We can see search trends. Is this term getting more popular, or is it seasonal? We're seeing some spikes and valleys, or is it a term that's declining in usage as well? Generally, we want to start with some long-tail keywords and then move up to the broader terms as we refine our strategy. Also, to assess quality, we want to analyze what our bounce rate is. How much time are people spending on site? Are these leading to conversions? And this data will actually tell us what strategy actually works. Often SEO is a matter of trial and error. We can make these assumptions. We know what works on other websites, but we need to try it for ourselves and understand which keywords actually convert. We can set all of that up within Google Analytics and then know with certainty this is a better keyword for my business. It generally brings me a higher return. Another graph I want to point out here, this is a client of ours who has seen amazing results within the first 6 months. So this is a campaign inception right here. They had about 1,000 non-branded visits. That's what these blue columns are per month. Right now, they're over 2,600 non-branded visits in just 6 months. In terms of the number of campaign keywords, we have about 45 keywords for this client. Ranking on the first page, we started with around 6. This is on this axis right here. And now we're up to about 26. As you can see, there's definitely correlation with traffic. However, these months right here, we just really caught up to this trend in the 6th month. The reason for that is because our traffic is really coming from all of these long-tail keywords. Although we have a keyword that we've got on the first page that has several thousand searches a month, we're getting a couple hundred visits every month from that keyword. But we weren't getting it right here. And even if that keyword was increasing, it's only one keyword out of thousands that we might be relevant for. So and you'll see the traffic didn't quite catch up just because we had 16 keywords on page 1. We increased our traffic a little bit. What you'll see has a real correlation is this green one right here. Oops. Just let me remove the highlights and show you exactly what's happening with this correlation. So this green bar here is the number of non-branded traffic driving keywords. And this is on the same axis here. So when we started, we had 600 different keywords that drove us 500 visits. As we moved up, we see both of these correlating. Now we have around 1,800 different keywords that are driving traffic to the site. And what that's resulting in is 2,600 non-branded visits. So stronger than the correlation of how many keywords that we're specifically targeting on the first page, what we're actually seeing is that more long-tail keywords is what bring traffic to our site. And not to say these campaign keywords are wrong, it's just that these campaign keywords are only a representative sample. So by knowing what other keywords that we might rank for, based on the variations of our campaign keywords, this is where we really see the correlation. And this is really significant, as most people think, well, I need to rank #1 for this one keyword that has 10,000 searches a month. Well, that keyword is often very broad and is going to bring you some visits, but it's really the highly qualified long-tail keywords that will bring you traffic and bring you conversions. All right, we do have about 10 minutes left, so I am going to be moving fairly quickly through these last couple sections. I appreciate everyone's patience, but I'll try and just get to the end here. And then if we do have time at the end, we can answer a couple extra questions. So as far as expecting SEO results, most people would like it for SEO to be instant. And the fact is that it's not. A typical SEO strategy is going to take 3 to 6 to 12 months to really see the kind of results that we want to see. So if we're thinking about this myth, I want to rank within the first month. I'm going to start an SEO strategy and start showing up for the keywords I put on my site. Well, if you think about it from the search engine perspective, how long do you think it's going to take to memorize a report, fully understand it, and then file it correctly in an incredibly large database. And think about if you had to prioritize that in comparison to every other file. If we're talking about shoes and the other 2 billion pages that rank for it, it's going to take Google some time to rank us for those. Another thing to consider is that there are already people ranking #1 for shoes that have built-in relevant inbound links to their site, that have done the on-page optimization, and they're already ahead of us. So if we're not already ranking, there have been people that have been doing this for years, and what's going to make Google rank us above all of those other sites within a month? It just simply doesn't work that quickly. In all reality, SEO work is never finished. Those people that have been ranking in the #1 spot for shoes for 4 years, assuming they have been, even if they have, it doesn't mean that they can stop what they're doing, because there are 2 billion other web pages on their tail. And so we want to be constantly optimizing. The first initial SEO push, we're going to first start seeing results in about 3 to 6 months. The first couple months are going to be those long tail keywords, the low-hanging fruit. Say we rank on the 3rd page for Nike red men's running shoes. Most people probably aren't finding us on the 3rd page, but we're very close. So it might take just a little bit of on-page optimization and link building to actually get us onto the 1st page. As our campaign matures, we're in this month 6 through 12, months 12 through 24, then we're going to really start to see our positions hold for those more broad keywords that we're going for that are more competitive. Additionally, Google is always learning and the world's always changing. As I mentioned, all of the algorithm changes that happen, different factors become important. So you may be ranking #1 for a keyword, but Google releases something like Panda that impacts 12% of websites. All of a sudden, there are a whole new set of best practices to be aware of. And although this sounds like a daunting task, one of the advantages in working with an agency like us is that we are monitoring over 100 client websites every month. So when there is a big algorithm change, we can actually look into the analytics of all these websites and put together a case study and see what kinds of things are actually affecting. And from our own experience, because Google's not giving us the exact intricacies of every algorithm change, otherwise anyone could do it, then we're able to make those suggestions. Some other things to keep in mind, your competitors are always creating new content and links, new products, services, updates. This is going to affect the results. Google is constantly reading your website, and we'll show this on the next topic. But reading your website every month, we want fresh content for Google. If it comes back and reads the same content every month, it's not going to have a lot of reason to come back. And the more it's coming back, the higher it's ranking, because it's coming back because it's finding us on third-party links. It's finding us relevant. It's finding that we have constantly changing content. A good way for fresh content is to put a Twitter feed or a Facebook feed on your homepage. Your core service offering and description of your business might not change, but there are still updates and ways to communicate with people. And Google, if you implement it in the right way, Google can actually read that stuff. So as I mentioned, Google likes new content and can really understand the site theme by doing that. Also, the goal should be to consistently improve qualified traffic to your site and grow conversion rates. So although we might be ranking well for many keywords and be getting a lot of traffic, the next step of that is to go into analytics and say which keywords actually convert, which keywords are actually going to bring me revenue. And by implementing an SEO strategy, we're going to get a lot of traffic, and usually we're going to see some of our engagement levels go down because we're getting traffic from keywords that aren't relevant. And that's really valuable information because we can forget about optimizing for those keywords and focus only on the keywords that do convert well. Or maybe find the keywords that convert well and look for other similar variations and say, oh, wow, keywords containing a certain type of phrase. Maybe it's CRM solutions, but CRM software is too broad. People aren't looking for software, but if it's the solutions-oriented terms, we see a lot of long-tail conversions from those words. Maybe I need to do some more keyword research and change it up and go for those types of keywords. And again, this kind of data can be found within analytics. We can see how many conversions actually happened, and we can even look at this on a keyword level as well. So a couple best practices. Identify your trends. focus on what's working and drill down and do more of that and forget the stuff that doesn't work with the weak spots. See if you can figure out why, and if it looks like the keywords you're optimizing for just aren't relevant, then forget them. Take those off your site and use ones you know are working with the data that you can see within analytics. All right, here's our last section here. I know we're running up against time, so I appreciate everyone hanging out. The last section is long-term sustainment. So how much time per month do I need to dedicate to my SEO campaign, and how long do I need to do it for? When am I going to be done? So the myth of SEO is that SEO is a project that has a starting and an ending point. You decide to do SEO, you choose your keywords, you build your links, you do the on-page optimization, and you're done. Unfortunately, it's not true. To become the king of your castle and maintain your standing with the search engines, you need to keep SEO going. As I mentioned before, your competitors always want to be in those positions that you're in. Even if you achieve the top positions, if there's a significant search volume for those terms, you better believe that people are on your tail and trying to outrank you. If we started an SEO campaign and we're not ranking, and now we're ranking in the #1 position for a keyword, we ousted someone else to get to that #1 position. And so likely, if it's a keyword with good search volume that's worth going after, your competitors, whether they're your natural competitors or whether they just happen to be the people that rank above you in the search engines, whether you've heard of them or not, they're going to be going after those. So it's very important to keep SEO going. Some things to think about, as I mentioned, Google comes back to your website on a regular basis, and they actually cache your website. So in your cache, the date and time that Google last crawled your site is recorded. This is important to keep in mind as it gives you an indication of how often Google is reading your content and how often they're coming back. And so we want to make sure that if we're in a top position, we're giving them reasons to come back. Maybe it's just adding those feeds on our homepage to make sure that there's fresh content all the time. If Google finds something different, they're going to want to cache your page again. If it finds that your homepage doesn't change until every 3 months, what incentive does Google have to recache that page when it could be finding other pages? So some best practices again. Average website, Google's going to visit once a week, and you can see that by typing in cache, C-A-S-H-E. For example, I'll look at Salesforce.com. If you don't use Google Chrome, the way to do this would be to just type in cache in the search bar. It's going to take me here, and this says it's a snapshot of the page, and actually Salesforce is getting crawled, looks like probably every day as they crawled it this morning. So this is a snapshot of what Google's seeing. When Google delivers a search result, it's basing it off of the cache results, which is why they're able to see it so quickly. If we search for CRM, it says to Google less than a second to find all these results. That's because it's already in their database. It's already cached. So the more updates you can give and the more reasons Google can cache your website, the better results we'll see. Google also needs time to absorb information about your site, and your competitors are doing the same thing. So not only are ranking improvements are going to take time for us to oust those other sites, but we also need to stay on that process. Also, SEO is a natural process. Unlike paid search, we can't just say, I want to show up for this keyword, do it tomorrow. We need Google to find this relevant, and that's an incredibly long-term strategy. Google is trying to deliver the most the most relevant results possible. Google doesn't really care if you want your business to be found for a particular term. Google wants to provide the most relevant results to users. So the process in doing that is by understanding how Google ranks things and provide content and follows those guidelines, but also is useful for users, as that's Google's ultimate aim. All right, so I know we covered a lot today. We're running right up against 12 o'clock. So just a few key takeaways kind of are all-encompassing here. There are many myths in SEO that can be a little misleading. There are many sources, and so it can be honestly confusing and intimidating, especially if you're just getting started, particularly for all the beginners out there, or even the intermediate SEOs who are not 100% clear, maybe don't have all the experience of when we reach a more complex case. So definitely intimidating. So we want to be able to know where the truth comes from. It's important to demystify the false beliefs in order to get real results. If we think that keyword stuffing, adding 50 instances of our keyword to a page is going to get us results, and we spend our time doing that, it's a huge waste of time and resources within your organization. So know those trusted resources, whether you choose to work with an agency or whether you choose to do it in-house. Know where to get that information and be able to validate that information from several sources. Google is a great source in terms of what algorithm changes they're making. The Google Webmaster's blog provides information, and then sites like SEO Laws are going to help distill that information and provide better recommendations. The third takeaway here is the math. So in addition to trusted resources, there's a lot of tools that you can use to take an analytical and data-driven approach to make these decisions. So whether it's looking in your Webmaster tools for which links are giving you credit for your website, whether it's looking in the Google Keyword tool to know which keywords have search volume, which ones don't, which ones have that 2 billion results that Google finds relevant versus just 10 million, which is still a lot, but clearly a pretty different picture. Or maybe we need to look in Google Analytics and say, out of the traffic I get, is it the long-tail traffic that converts higher? And is that the traffic that's ultimately going to drive results? So use these tools, use the data. There's no right or wrong answer. I can hop on anyone's website today and tell you all these best practices, but it may not apply to you unless we take a deep dive into your site and know what makes sense for your website and how Google's going to perceive your website. And then from there, seeing how many people are actually converting and use that data to make a decision to drive the strategy of our campaign. So that concludes today's webinar. I do want to end with the offer to request a customized SEO assessment today. If you are interested in seeing what we might be able to do with your website, you may qualify for a $50 Amazon.com gift card. You can email SEO@webmarketing123 or visit bit.ly/WM123SEO. And I'll leave this slide up, or actually the next slide up, for anyone that is interested. And also, if you'd like a copy of the slides or a recorded version of today's webinar, you can reach out and follow those as well and get you in touch with someone over at Web Marketing, and we will follow up with you. If you are interested in the analysis, here's just a couple bullets on what you can expect. So one of the things that we try to approach is a cost of the problem. Discover the cost of not ranking in the top positions and how much revenue is being lost to competitors with the best rankings. The way that we do that is by looking at how many searches are done on the keywords relevant to your business. Out of those, what is the expected click-through rate on the first page? So if there are 2 million people searching for your keywords, and we expect a 7% click-through rate based on the first page averages, then what kind of traffic might we expect? And then using your internal conversion rates and average sale data, or maybe looking just at lead volume and conversion rates from lead to sale, then we can find out how much revenue is actually being lost and project what we might be able to get if we're ranking in the top positions. We'll also take a look at a couple of your competitor sites, see where they're ranking comparatively for the keywords, and if they're beating you, what tactics might they be employing that you could take advantage of and hopefully rank better. And also, we can take a deep dive into different digital strategies. This webinar was focused on SEO, but we do offer paid search, social media marketing, display advertising, and a variety of overall digital marketing services. And so we can definitely find the right mix for you. SEO is often a solution that is going to work for most businesses, but it may not be the only one, or it may not be right for you. So if you talk to one of our reps, then we'll better be able to assess what might be right for you. And then just a quick plug for next week's webinar, we'll be talking about the 4 secrets of brilliant SEO copywriting. So as we discuss the content today in terms of what kind of content to write that would be useful for users and that Google would also recognize and give value for, we're going to take a deeper dive into that next week, as it's a pretty big area of concern for many of our clients. So we'll be diving deeper. Again, you can visit the bit.ly URL there, or email SEO@webmarketing123 for more information. And thank you, everyone, for sticking on for these last 5 minutes. And we hope to see you again soon.